I don't know why I should be so hungry.
You.
I'm hungry.
Last night.
Didn't sleep well. I feel terrible.
Millie, last night.
What about last night?
Don't you remember?
What, did we have a wild party or something?
Just a few people.
That's what I thought.
The bread was disgusting. Millie, you look like trash!
You don't look too hot yourself.
Whatever, I need to go get ready.
Play the man, Master Ridley. We shall this day light such a candle by God's grace in England as I trust shall never be put out.
Where are they? Go on, woman! Somewhere. Give me the kerosene, girl! Don't worry, I'm on it.
I'm never leaving my books. You can't be sick.
Yes, I am sick.
But you were all right last night.
No, I wasn't. Can you bring me some aspirin and some water?
You gotta get up. It's noon.
Could you please turn the parlor off for a sick woman?
That's my family. I'll turn it down.
Who is it?
Betty.
I know she has the book. Turn off the parlor, Mildred. Just thought I'd come by and check how a sick woman was. How'd you guess? I've seen it all. You were gonna call out. Well, just take a night off. When will you be well? Tomorrow, the first of the week. Who knows? Every firewoman, sooner or later, hits this. They only need understanding to know how the wheels run. Need to know the history of our profession. They don't feed it to rookies like they used to. Damn shame. Only fire chiefs remember now. I'll let you in on it. When did it all start, you ask? This job of ours? How did it come about? Where? When? Well, I'd say really it got started around a thing called the Civil War. Even though our rule book claims it was founded earlier, the fact we didn't get along well, photography came into its own. Then, motion pictures in the earliest 20th century, radio, television, things began to have math. And because they had mass, they became simpler. Once books appealed to a few people here, there, everywhere, they could afford to be different. The world was roomy, but then the world got full of eyes and elbows and mouths, double, triple, quadruple populations. Films and radios, magazines, books leveled down to a sort of paste-putting norm, you know? Do you follow me?
I think so.
Picture it, 19th century man with his horses, dogs, carts, slow motion. Then, in the 20th century, speed up your camera, books cut shorter, condensations, digests, tabloids, everything bolts down to the gag, the snap ending. Classics cut to 15-minute radio shows, then cut again to fill a 2-minute book column, winding up to at least 10 or 12-line dictionary resume. I exaggerate, of course. The dictionaries were for reference, but many were those whose sole knowledge of Hamlet. You know the title, certainly, Monica. It's probably only a faint rumor of a title to you, Mrs. Monica, whose sole knowledge, as I say, Hamlet was a one-page digest in that book claimed. Now at last you can read all the classics. Keep up with your neighbors. Do you see? Out of the nursery into the college and back to the nursery. There's your intellectual pattern for the past 5 centuries or more. Empty the theaters, save for the clowns, and furnish the rooms with glass walls and pretty colors running up and down the walls like confetti or blood or sherry or saturine. You like baseball, don't you?
Baseball's a fine game.
You like bowling, don't you, Monica?
Bowling, yes.
Golf, basketball, billiards, pool, football?
A fine game, a fine game. They're all fun games.
More sports for everyone. Group spirit, fun, and you don't have to think, huh? Organize and super organized, super sports. More cartoons and books, more pictures. The mind drinks less and the less. Impatience, highways full of crowds, going somewhere, nowhere. The gasoline refugee, towns turn into motels, people in nomadic surges from place to place, following the moontides, living tonight in the room where you slept in this noon, and I the night before. What more easily explained and natural, with school turning out more runners, jumpers, racers, tinkers, grabbers, snatchers, and flyers, swimmers, instead of examiners, critics, knowers, and imaginative creators. The word intellectual of all course became the swear word it deserved to be. You always dread the unfamiliar. So, a book is a loaded gun in the house next door. Burn it, take the shot from the weapon. Breach man's mind. Who knows who might be the target of a well-read man? Me, I won't stomach them for a minute. And when the houses were finally fireproofed completely all over the world, you were correct in your assumption the other night. There was no longer need of firemen for the old purposes. They were given a new job as custodians of our peace of mind, the focus of our understandable and rightful dread of being inferior. Official, censors, judges, and executors. That's you, Montag, and that's me. You must understand that our civilization is so vast and that we can't have our minorities upset and stirred. Ask yourself, what do we want with this country above all? People want to be happy, isn't that right? Haven't you heard it all your life? I want to be happy, people say. Well, aren't they? Don't we keep them moving? Don't we give them fun? That's all we live for, isn't it? For pleasure, for titillation. And you must admit our culture provides plenty of these. Let's not quibble over individuals with memoriams. Forget them. Burn all. Burn everything. Fire is bright and the fire is clean.
There's a girl next door. She's gone. I think dead. But she was different. How did that happen?
Here or there, that's bound to occur. Clarice McLennan, we've had a record on her family. We've watched them carefully. Heredity and environment are funny things. You can't rid yourselves of all the odd ducks in just a few years. The home environment can undo a lot you do at school. That's why we lowered the kindergarten age year after year. Until now, we're almost snatching them from the cradle. We've had some false alarms on the McLennans. When they lived in Chicago, never found a book. Uncle had a mixed record. Antisocial, the girl, she was a time bomb. The family had been feeding her subconscious. I'm sure, from what I saw of her school record, she didn't want to know how a thing was done, but why. That can be embarrassing. The poor girl's better off dead. I must be going. Lecture's over. I hope I clarified things. The most important thing for you to remember, Montag, is we're the happiness. Boys, the Dixie duo. You and I and the others. We stand against the small tide of those who want to make everyone unhappy with conflicting theory and thought. We have our fingers on the dike. One last thing. At least once in her career, every firewoman gets an itch. What do the books say? He wonders. Oh, to scratch that itch. Well, Monica, take my word for it. I've had to read a few in my time to know what it was about. And the books say nothing! Nothing you can teach or believe they're about non-existent people, figments of imagination if they're fiction. And if they're non-fiction, it's worse. One professor calling another an idiot, one philosopher screaming down another's gullet, all of them running about, putting out the stars and extinguishing the sun. You come away lost. Well then, what if a firewoman accidentally took a book, not really intending anything? A natural air, curiosity alone. We don't get over anxious or mad. We let the firewoman keep the book 24 hours. If she hasn't burned it by then, we simply come burn it for her. Get well and keep well.